Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So we are looking back at the past month, the most popular blockchain games for April 2023. Data as ever from DApp Radar. So usual caveat, this is looking at on-chain data. So this is looking at, for every day, it is looking at how many unique wallets interact with the smart contracts that make up these games. So that is not the only way to measure the popularity of a blockchain game. It sort of depends a little bit how the blockchain game is set up. But here, at least we are looking at the on-chain data. So obviously some games will have a whole bunch of activity that's nothing to do with blockchain. And then there'll be a certain element of it, which is blockchain. So just bear that in mind. So in this graph here, we're looking, so two graphs to look at this week, this month, should say. So this one is starting in September 2022. So a longer time frame than the other one, which we'll look at. And this is for the games with more on-chain activity. These are games that have been around for a while. And so we can see here, as really has been the case for most of 2023, in terms of on-chain activity, the most popular game is Alien Worlds, which mainly runs on the Wax blockchain, has some elements running on the BNB blockchain, but I would say over 90% is running on the Wax blockchain. And this is a game where it's a fully on-chain game, so everything you do in the game is interacting with the blockchain. So this is a game, in a sense, that, pretty much you can't play the game without interacting with the blockchain. So it will always have maybe a higher level of activity compared to other games. It's had started sort of back in September. Here we can see it was down about maybe 160,000 daily active unique wallets. So this is wallets, not people. Some people will have multiple wallets. Some people will be trying to run bots through here. So we have to be a little bit careful about exactly what we think that audience is. But anyway, we can see when it got to sort of October, November, it was up to 200,000, and it's really sort of stayed at the over 200,000 daily active unique wallets sort of ever since. There's been some days where it's gone down for a few days. But generally, we've been over 200,000 daily active unique wallets for most of that period of time since say November last year. And in April, so March was down a little bit, and April has sort of come back to more as we were in February, so sort of averaging maybe 250,000 daily active unique wallets. Obviously some volatility, a lot of volatility across all this data. That's sort of where we are. I guess to some degree we can think that the token price has sort of been sort of solid really since January this year. It's been up as most crypto has, and there's sort of more features sort of coming into that product, and there's sort of the DAOs and all that sort of stuff going on as well. So yeah, that's where we are with Alien Worlds, which is, as I say, really been the number one game for on-chain activity really since November last year. Although still, fairly small. So compared to most games, 200,000, 250,000 daily active players of a game wouldn't be seen as very large. But that's where we are with on-chain activity in blockchain, at least. Splinterlands has sort of continued its trend as well, really from February this year. And that's a downward trend. So we can see at certain points, certainly going back to September here, sort of Alien Worlds and Splinterlands were sort of broadly the same, and then they sort of caught up again in January. Splinterlands sort of came back up, and for a few days at least was the same as Splinterlands as Alien Worlds, but now it's sort of dropped off quite considerably. So at one point, peaking over 200,000 daily active unique wallets, and now down. Some days approaching 50,000. So not very clear why that's happening. Again, these games with a lot of on-chain activity can have bots in them. Splinterlands got rid of a lot of bots with some changes it made in August last year. So obviously this drop off here could still be could be to do with bots. Could just be sort of churn of players. The token price hasn't really done very much. But Splinterlands has some other stuff going on. So it's doing this TAD Defense game, which is currently in sort of testing, and it's got the land stuff coming out. But I guess those are features that wouldn't necessarily engage sort of core players. So it may just be that products that have been around for a number of years, as Splinterlands has. If new players aren't coming in all the time, then people sort of churn out over time as well. And certainly, I would guess 2023 has not been a boom time for getting new players into blockchain games. I mean, that's just not where we are really. In fact, it's sort of the opposite, I suppose, certainly on the NFT side of things, where the price of NFTs continues to drop, even though crypto, it's all Bitcoin and ETH prices have sort of been quite strong during 2023. Obviously from a low base, but the NFT stuff is still sort of working itself out. So maybe that's the sort of main reason there. But definitely, we haven't seen Splinterlands under 100,000 daily active unique wallets for really a couple of years, and now we're sort of back solidly under there. So really, for March and April, we're sort of solidly under 100,000 and going down to we'll see what the core audience is, I suppose. So what else we got? Farmers World, which has sort of been pretty solid, running on the Wax blockchain. It's not doing very much. The assumption seems to be here that the developers aren't working on it anymore, so it's not quite clear why people are still playing it. But again, probably a reasonable amount of bots operating on that. But it's doing what it's doing. Planet 9 on the Polygon blockchain, I guess, is followed a sort of typical trajectory for blockchain games. So this is a sort of a space themed sort of mining type game, a little bit like Alien Worlds to some degree, and we can see here, in sort of end of January, start of February, it got up to, for a few days, up to 100,000 daily active unique wallets. Obviously, as ever with an on-chain game, not quite sure how many bots are in there. You can see a big drop off here, which generally means the developers changed some of the structures, some of the reward structures, and a whole bunch of bots have just dropped off. It's very rare you get something like that just from players dropping off. So it sort of stabilized around 50,000 daily active unique wallets, and now in April it's dropped right off, so right back down to sort of where it started off, sort of 10,000. So this tends to be, as we've seen with plenty of games, there's a sort of an upward cycle, which may be to do with just interest in the game, maybe to do with some asset price trajectory in the game, that the tokens are going up because everyone's piling in. Maybe some sort of gearing within that with bots as well, and then sort of a falling away, and everyone there's not enough sort of game experience to keep people playing if there's no economic reason to do so. So that seems to be, I have to admit, I've not played Planet 9, I've looked at it. So anyway, we're back to where we started on that, and that's as I say, that's what blockchain games tend to do, particularly when they have live tokens that can be sort of bought and sold on the open market. It's very hard to sort of maintain that. Okay, so look at the second graph. This is for, well, let's go. So the first graph here is the vertical scale is up to 300,000 daily active unique wallets, and the other graph here is 30,000. So this is much smaller sort of games, operating in at a much smaller level than these other games. So Upland in blue, so we've seen that that's been a bigger game. I think it's peaked at about 70,000 daily active unique wallets. Should also say this graph on the horizontal scale is just for 2023 as well, so just for a short period of time. Upland's pretty solid, but as I say, it's down from what it has been in 2022, but it's sort of bumping along sort of 20,000 daily active unique wallets, a mobile game. We had Nine Chronicles, which again was sort of had grown to about 20,000. Sort of PC game, although it's really, to me, it feels much more like a mobile game. But it's only available on PC at the moment, and I don't know if that's the reason, but we've seen in April quite a big dropping off. So over 20,000 daily active unique wallets for 2023 up to that point, and now it's come right down closer to 10,000. Again, it's a game that's sort of in early access. It has its own custom blockchain. It's sort of not necessarily quite hard to access it, but you have to go through the Discord and get a code and all that sort of stuff. So it's not like a game where anyone can just rock in and play it casually. So, early access, these things go up and down. Sunflower Land had a sort of has sort of a farming game on Polygon, so it had a big sort of jump up in sort of February. Continued that growth through March, and then seems to have peaked and come down a little bit, so about 15,000. And then Axie Infinity sort of come down under 10,000. So that's sort of a bit of a decline from where it was at the start of the year. Again, with that game, they're really reading between the lines. They're really sort of unsure quite what they're doing in terms of the mobile strategy there. So again, they've been trying for a long time now to work out if they can get it to app stores, which would obviously give it, I would think, a fairly big boost. Although most of the activity on Axie Infinity happens off chain. So remember, this is on chain activity. So we wouldn't necessarily expect to see enormous spikes, but if it had more players, it would have more on-chain activity. But it seems they're still working that out. So at the moment, this is still sort of the hardcore players who are playing for the sort of the tournaments, the rewarded tournaments, more like esports tournaments. So those are quite crypto savvy people, rather than sort of just mass market players, but at a much lower level clearly than it was back in the day. So yeah, in terms of sort of April, no, in a sense, no positive news. Nothing sort of booming up. Things are sort of, if anything, stable, or some things are sort of declining, which tends to be the way in which blockchain games operate. If there's nothing else going on in the sort of the wider ecosystem, the wider sort of crypto market. So to a degree, it's a waiting game. I think for me, it's more about waiting for new products to come on. So all these products here, are sort of well known, been around for a number of years in various forms, and while some of these could obviously increase, could double or do more, so it's kind of hard to see these getting to the stage of doing 1 million MAUs or even DAUs, which I guess is still the point at which people are looking for sort of mass market adoption. So seems unlikely to me, maybe with the exception of Axie Infinity, whether these are the products that are going to take us to that level. But obviously, if the market conditions get a bit more positive, we will see sort of everything, well, not everything, but we will see. I imagine some of these games, or the majority of these games in particular, sort of seeing increases in activity. But really, for 2023, I think looking for new products to come in and invigorate the market. So we'll see how we get on with that as the months go on. Thanks for watching the video. See you again soon.